Uncertainty, ambiguity, the unknown. These are all factors that I find create quite a bit of stress and angst, perhaps, amongst leaders. Especially the higher we achieve in an organization, I find that there's a self-imposed expectation that we have to have all the answers. But in fact, the truth is, we don't always know. When we have to lead through that uncertainty, there are a couple of ways in which we can communicate it, though, even if we don't know, not sounding like we don't know. Here are a few ways to start thinking about this. First, one of the recommendations that I will make is to begin by stating, I don't know. When we're asked a question and we aren't sure of the answer, the ability to confidently say we're not sure or we don't have that information communicates a certain amount of confidence in the other individual as well. A lot of the times what I see is, as leaders, we feel like we need to have the answer. And so as a result, we will fill up the space, which unfortunately starts to come across a little defensive or perhaps even not very confident. So we want to begin by first acknowledging we don't necessarily have an exact answer, or we haven't done all that research just yet. In addition, we also need to follow it up. And here are a few ways in which we can do that in a credible manner. First, we can say, I don't know, but this is what I do know. What we have found is that at minimum, you can give a sense of things. Most individuals will find a certain amount of solitude, a certain amount of confidence in that. As in, well, we don't have an exact number, but here's what I do know. We did a very similar project last year, and it ranged from about $50,000 to $60,000. We're expecting something similar this time around. Another way to do this is once again to begin with, I don't know, but I can get back to you. And this is probably the most common response I see. But one of the recommendations I make here is to give a date and a time by when you will get back. It communicates a stronger degree of commitment and confidence. As in, I'm not quite sure, but I'll look into that and I'll make sure that I get back to you before the day is out, by Friday at noon. The last one is, I don't know, but let me refer you to. As in, I'm not a subject matter expert on that, or perhaps I wasn't in that strategy meeting. However, I know that Rebecca was. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Rebecca. I'd be happy to connect the two of you. This isn't you abdicating your responsibility, but rather this is you acknowledging you're not the subject matter expert on this. However, you're willing to connect somebody to the individual who is. So all three of these methods, these techniques can be used in order to continue to lead through uncertainty when you don't necessarily know, but without coming across as if you don't know.